guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Okay, no, I'm gonna be the only one on the internet who is not even going to mention it. Oh wait, I just did. Okay, fine. We're gonna talk about our favorite subject, which is Palantir. And I actually thought about it. We have had quite a rally. We went from about $10 to $13.41. And that is awesome for all of you who got in at around this price. My cost average price is about $11.75. But I wanted to look at, okay, what can we expect and what are the short-term factors that are catalysts for the stock price and gonna take it to the moon possibly, and what are short-term things that are possibly going to crash the price. So hang on tight, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the new videos, and this is going to be a very interesting video. Here you see the stock price of Palantir. You see we went from around here, and this very much seems like, I mean, if it's not a bottom, it's gonna rest here, right, for a little bit. So what's really interesting is Palantir stock has reacted very bad to things that are actually very good for the company. So this really creates a unique perspective. So I think this is really important for us long-term investors so that you don't panic sell, and when the stock crashes, you know what to do, right? So one of the really interesting thing is that Palantir reacted very much to inflation and supply chain issues. I mean, it's not just Palantir, it's the whole growth sector bottomed out in the beginning of 2021. And then here is when the Fed announced that they will start raising rates. Yeah, the stock crashed from that. And I did many videos about this, that Palantir thrives in a bad environment. And when there is supply chain issues, it even creates a more need for Palantir as a software and Palantir solution. And the inflation doesn't hurt Palantir in any way because Palantir is not selling product. It's a software company, has a crazy high, circa 80% growth margin. And its customers are like the global 6,000 companies and governments who anyways have money, inflation or not. I do believe that the worst of the inflation fears are behind us, but this created an opportunity that, you know, the stock price went down on something that was actually neutral or even beneficial for the company, right? So now what can happen on the inflation is, because of war in the Ukraine, the oil prices going crazy, which is my second point. It can be that we're not fully out of the woods yet and there's more panic from the market. But just remember, if the stock tanks because of oil or supply chain issues or inflation, it's just another buying opportunity for Palantir. Then I did mention this point, the oil prices. So again, somewhere here, the market started tanking because the oil price was going to 140, and it has to do with, you know, sanctions on Russia and the war in Ukraine. And again, Palantir has nothing to do with oil. It has no effect on the business itself, and it has no effect on the customers of Palantir. And I do believe it even increases demand for Palantir, because if you can handle your company smarter and, you know, you can fine-tune different things, you can even use less oil. So again, if you see the stock falling or the stock market falling and Palantir is with it because of the high oil prices, I believe in my mind it's just another buying opportunity. Obviously, we can feel that the market was very scared when the war broke out. That's this day, I very highly remember. And I remember, unfortunately, I missed this opportunity because I remember I'm in Sweden, right? I heard the news way before the US market opened, and I was thinking, I think I should sell everything and just buy Palantir if there is a panic selling. The war is a catalyst for European governments where Palantir actually was struggling. Like Palantir was struggling to sell in Europe because there's all these concerns if Palantir owns the data or doesn't own the data, and European governments understandably are a bit skeptical that, let's say, Germany's data is sent to the US and is being worked in US. And I do believe that Palantir has very good solutions and privacy solutions around this, but obviously you do need to get over this hurdle. And I believe that this war in Ukraine was the perfect catalyst for the governments to look more into Palantir, and I believe that Palantir is very much needed in Europe, and I will be very much looking forward to what they guide on this in their Q1 earnings report, right? So again, if the war continues and escalates or whatever happens, barring that World War III breaks out, but if World War III breaks out, I believe the least of your worries will be Palantir. So if that doesn't happen, but the situation somehow escalates and the stock market and Palantir goes down, I believe, again, it's a major buying opportunity, and these things can happen. So now the next point on my list is the Fed raising interest rates. Again, this ties into inflation. The Fed raising interest rates makes it so that the companies are being valued less on the short term because of the DCF calculations that analysts do. they have to count with a higher discount in the interest. And the thing is, we're not out of the woods yet, and the inflation data is very, I don't dare to make any prediction on it, and I don't think anybody can. But I believe in the summer we're going to get new inflation readings, and then in September there is a chance that the Fed is going to raise with 50 basis points instead of 25 basis points, or who knows, even higher. I think there's a very small chance of that. And that is going to possibly hurt the stock market and the valuation of Palantir. But again, Palantir is a company that has very little debt. They can pay back, I believe they have 2.5 billion in cash and 200 million in debt. So they can pay the debt if they want in a second without really changing anything on the balance sheet. So therefore, the Fed raising interest rates, it does not hurt them in any way, the business. It can hurt the stock price. And again, if this happens, it will be a catalyst for the stock, and you know what to do. So now the next big catalyst for the stock is that soon we will have the Q1 earnings, because Q1 is finishing in 2-3 days at the time of recording this video. And there's certain things that can really make the price go to the moon. For example, if the government services pick up, because all of us remember that Cathie Wood sold Palantir because the government section was slowing down. And I believe they addressed it really well in the earnings call, that the government business is very lumpy. The US didn't pass a budget, and they were having, trouble in Europe. So I believe, and the sales time, so the sales cycle takes very long to get to close government contracts, and I believe in Europe also. So if the government side of business would be picking up, that would be on the short term a very positive catalyst, which I think it would make the price skyrocket. However, the government business is very lumpy, so even if they contract more, meaning like they go down more, but they give us information about that, they're seeing a lot of interest from European governments and the US government, they give good explanations, and the stock goes down, I believe it's a very good buying opportunity, because they say it many times Alex Karp says it many times in the Q4 earnings call, and I believe him, that the government business is a very lumpy business and investors want it to go in a straight line, but it actually goes like this. But then if you take a look at 3-4 years, you do have an average 30% per year increase. Then this is for me, I don't think this will affect the stock price a lot. I want to see their net retention stay the same, and even I believe in the European companies they had 103% net retention rate, and I would be very happy if that number would grow. I have myself dabbled in a subscription business before, and when you have 103 net retention, it means, like, imagine a gym. That's a subscription business, right? So for you to have a higher than 100% net retention, it means that you have 10 new signups in January, and then in December the same year you have 10 of those same customers, and they have even bought extra services from you, right? And as you know, people quit the gym, right? So the gym owners, they are thinking like, okay, if 10 people start the gym, we're happy if 4 are still customers, and that would be an okay number in a subscription business, right? So for you to have a higher than 100% net retention, I think people who have not been in the subscription business, they don't understand how hard it is to generate and how bullish it is that your product is so good that, like, this literally means that without getting new customers and without selling to anyone, your existing customers are so happy and your service is so good that they stay and they keep buying more, which is nuts. It's very few companies that have such net retentions. And their net retention in the US government, don't quote me on this, but I believe it was 150%, and in the US commercial it was even more. And the only black spot was, I believe, in the European commercial, if I remember well. It was around 103%, and I would like to see that number grow. Then I would really like in the earnings call if they give a little bit of a clue about how it's going for them in Europe with the governments and with companies, right? I do expect that because of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, they should have, the thing is that it takes time with the European governments, right? So it might be that they don't have a lot of increase in sales, but they have like new partnerships starting and, a lot of interest coming. So that would be a very bullish sign for me if that comes up. And then the last thing that I would really like on the Q1 earnings call is if they would somehow roll back the stock-based compensation, because that's also something that Alex Karp promised that it would normalize within a few years. And I know that it was something that many people in the Wall Street could not think with, and it did not help the stock price. So if they would announce like normalizing it, I believe it would be a great catalyst for the stock price. So if you look at this, there is a lot of things that can make the stock price go down a lot, like inflation, supply chain issues, oil prices, the war escalating, the Fed raising interest rates, and all these things have nothing to do with the company. So I believe if these things happen, they create a fantastic buying opportunity. Then there is also things that can come up in the Q1 earnings call, which would make it very bullish for me. But again, you have to use your brain and read between the lines, because it might be that the market will react bad to them and they will just present a fantastic buying opportunity. If I look technically at the stock, I think it's reasonable to expect that the stock will go to around $20, where it will have a resistance somewhere around here. I don't think it's likely that we break the bottom of $10 in the near term. And I would honestly like the price to go down, because I would just like to buy more stock. And if it does, awesome, I'll buy more. If it doesn't, then yeah, that was it. Life is tough. So let me know what you guys think, how you're going to react to Palantir price movements, and what do you think is going to happen with the stock. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.